Mr. Morgan. No fussing, of course. But they found. You know, in Russian, let it broke. You're safe tonight. Ain't nobody gonna fool with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all to the March 25th, 2026 meeting of the City of Charleston Planning Commission. My name is Charlie Carroll, I'm Chairman. I'm joined by my right, Ms. Vice Chairman, and to my far left, Mr. Steve Hurst, then Mr. Bart Jackson, then Donna Jacobs, Jimmy Bailey, Carl Jenkins, and to Mr. Sam's right is Kenneth Joyce and Eric Harrison. These folks are volunteers appointed by Charleston City Council and the mayor. And I hope you join me in thanking you for the time and work on behalf of our city. The way we'll do the meeting tonight is I'll call an item, read an item into the agenda for the record, and we'll hear from staff and anyone, and then from the applicants, and anyone supporting the application, anyone may have concerns about the application. Then we'll let the applicant address any issues brought up. After that, we'll close the public hearing and the commission members will discuss, make motions to vote on. If you have a phone, I'd ask you to turn on silent or turn it off. Please, I'd ask you to come to the podium, tell us who you are, if you represent someone, and your address. Mr. Morgan, I know we have several, would you introduce any staff participating? Also, we have several referrals, as I know.
Sure. I'm Christopher Morgan, planning manager here at the city of Charleston. Amanda Cox, our planner who works with you all, is out sick today, so hence we're missing placards because we didn't know quite where those were, and I apologize about that. But with us tonight is Molly Connor, our sanitation planner, Philip Overcast, our senior planner, and our clerk, Jasmine O'Neill. There have been some deferrals, and the deferrals are items all related to the ME3 workforce housing that were on the agenda originally. Here we go. They are number 4, Main Street Manor extension. Number 5, Main Street Manor and Tripper reports. Number 6, Gas Green and extension. Number 7, West Edge. And then number 8, Ragborough Homes. 9, Cincy Drive. Number 10, Dunbar Street. All deferred.
Okay. Anyone else? You may have been produced, or we're good. Okay, thank you. Before we start the meeting, I'd like to have a moment of silence. Ms. Brian Jenkins lost her husband a little over a month ago. I call him Judge Jenkins because I knew him well. He was a wonderful guy, and I'd like to have a moment of silence to that. In addition, if you keep your thoughts and prayers, Mary Ann Sullivan, who's a wonderful person involved with the city for 50 years. And she's not doing well, so we'd like to wish her a speedy recovery. Thank you all. Before we get started, I think you have some students back there. Is that correct, y'all? Can you introduce yourselves and tell us where you go to school?
I'm Ethan Johns and I go to college in Charleston.
I'm Aubrey Williams. I also go.
Good for you all. I spent 6 good years at the college. What do y'all, what class y'all here for?
It's just 101 historic preservation.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for coming. Have any questions, you let us know. The first item on the agenda is the minutes, and I always call on Ms. Jacobs for help with that. He looks at it very closely. Ms. Jacobs?
Not in trouble this time because I did read from her.
Okay.
Yes, but I have one correction. On page 6, I highlighted it. Her name is Anna Catherine Alexander.
You're digging deep.
With that, you make a motion to approve with that correct?
I'm making a motion to approve with that correction.
Great. Is there a second?
Alexander's.
I'll second.
Okay. Ms. George seconds, motion by Ms. Jacobs to approve minutes. Ms. George seconds, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You want to oppose? Great. 9 in favor, not opposed. Next item on the agenda, rezonings. Number 1, 806 LC Drive, West Ash, TMS 3500100080, District 7.513 acres. Request rezone from single family SR2 to Job Center. Mr. Morgan.
Thank you. And this is an item that you all had seen in the last, I guess, year, a little bit more than a year. with a different applicant. And it exceeded the amount of time that's required between applications because that's a 6-month time frame. So they were eligible to apply again for this property. But there's a different applicant on this, and this is a request to rezone the property from single-family residential SR2 to job center. And just to familiarize everybody with this location, everything that's in color on this graphic is in the city of Charleston and is zoned. There's a property to the north, zoned general office, and then to the east is the St. Andrews High School property that the school district owns. That's on SR1, and then to the south are properties in Charleston County jurisdiction under the DUWAP overlay. And then there's SR1 here at Corn Dulce, and also another one here on Dulce here. Just a few other. This is an aerial image. You can see the child care facility academy in the north here. You can see the St. Andrews campus site here, football stadium parking lot area. So that's immediately adjacent to the property, and some of the residential structures across the street here. And then we have an image of the property itself. This is also in the comprehensive plan. This is designated for job center. You see by the blue color, this is all of this street here. So it's in line with the comprehensive plan, and this is just more to blow up on that. Staff is supportive of the request, and I believe the applicant has some pictures they're going to share with you all about what their vision is for the property as well.
Christopher, did you,
Yeah.
I felt like you said, here's a picture of the property
The actual picture of the site.
or,
This is an aerial of the property.
okay, got it, okay.
Yeah, it is a metal building on the site. I think we don't have the.
I just want to make sure you hadn't skipped over it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did not. I'm sorry. Probably should have had a street.
Captain Ms. Tecklenburg, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Thank you, sir. And I'm Joseph Tecklenburg with CCMT Real Estate. My brother bought this property just a few weeks ago. He has a kind of high-end residential landscaping design business that he's going to locate here, and I'm just going to pass this around. This is a former icy warehouse. They've owned it and operated for, I think, over 50 years. I would say the warehouse and property have fallen into a little bit of a disrepair shape. And our plan is to greatly enhance the property. Since closing on it, we went and knocked on just about every neighbor's door, and we have the support of Mr. Bennett to the right of us, Brad on the corner, and other neighbors in the neighborhood. So we think his proposed use and proposed enhancements will be beneficial to the neighborhood. And we, are planning on doing these improvements over the next 60, 90 days, fix up the building, fix up the parking lot. There's a lot of potholes. We landscape it. He obviously does this for a living. So I'd like to think it's going to be kind of the nicest lot in the neighborhood when we finish up. So I'm just here on behalf of my brother and want to thank you guys for your service and your consideration as he, invests a lot in this property for his small business. So thank you again. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to.
Thank you, Ms. Tecklenburg. Would anyone like to speak in favor of the application? Mayor Tecklenburg, come on up. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you for your service. I, for one, know you all volunteer your time to do this job, so thank you for your civic service. So, by the way, if you were wondering, I have a new gig, a new job. I'm playing the piano every Thursday in the Charleston place, so I wanted to look the part, like a musician.
I heard it's tough to get tickets in there.
I'm working on that. No tickets required. You can just listen in the lobby. So we respectfully request your approval for this application to the Job Center zoning. It is totally in keeping with the DUWAP overlay district. And if you don't mind, allow me to read just a little bit from the ordinance that we passed a few years ago, setting up the Yukon Wahoo planning area or overlay zone, which reads, it's an area of West Ashley that consists of a variety of residential, commercial, and light industrial uses that have evolved over time. The intent of the DuPont Wapu planning area and overlay zone is to preserve existing development patterns while providing land use and design standards that enable new attractive development appropriate to and in scale with the community, and to build upon those existing entrepreneurial as well as other existing commercial, office, retail, and residential uses in the area. So from its inception, the DUWAP overlay district was a mixed-use district to include a variety of residences and businesses. And in fact, my son, John Henry, lived for about 3 years right around the corner on Second Avenue, brought that property into the city. So we're very familiar with the neighborhood. I think that's what led us to be on the lookout for the property, because John Henry moved to Johns Island. He's moving back to West Ashley, and he wants to have a place to operate his business closer to where he lives. So I know the concern came up when this matter came before y'all last year about possible infringement on the residential use in the district. But I do want to point out, and you can see that picture of the warehouse building. It's been there for 50 years. This has never been a residential property. I frankly think the zoning is kind of a mismatch for the historic use of the property. And, you know, if this was a residential house and we were asking to change the zoning, I feel that would be, raise that concern. But under the circumstances where you've had an existing commercial use for over 50 years, to continue that use and now comply with the city standards of the DUWAP area, which will improve the appearance of the building. We'll have to add a fence out front, add a sidewalk out front, all those kinds of things. It's really going to improve the property and the neighborhood. And if I may say so, they are not only accountable to the city, they're also accountable to me as their father. And I try to instill in my sons the concept of leaving things better than we found them. And I believe they will do that. So I respectfully ask your approval.
Thank you, sir.
so much.
Anyone else like to speak in favor of the application? Anyone in opposition to the application? Come on up, one at a time, come on up to the podium if you would, thank you.
Very elegant. Mr. Gilligan. I was involved with,
Would you tell us who you are and your address if you would, thank you.
my name is Donnie Squires Senior. I live at Dulcie Road, which is approximately 150 feet from where this warehouse is at.
Thank you.
All right, and I've been there for 52 years. So I know the neighborhood. I also know about the DUWAP plan. I went to several meetings. And the biggest selling that they had at the meetings was they were gonna cause things to change in the neighborhood for the better. They were gonna go through and make massive changes to the drainage system so we could get rid of our water that we have. But I have seen none of that. I even applied to get speed humps because of the traffic cut through coming through our neighborhood. And the city of Charleston put 2 on Dulcie Road, but they didn't put nothing on Dulcie Road. So this building was there when I moved it. It was an icy warehouse. The noise from the icy warehouse was a truck going in, picking up ices and distributing it at different stores. There was no noise, there was no traffic congestion. And the house that was there originally, when this place was built, was a single home dwelling that got tore down. So I'm not disputing that this property can't look better than it did. That's true. But when it comes to being changed to a business, I don't know what's gonna go in there after the Tessenberg gain ownership. They own the land now. But what they can do with it after we leave here and they get the new zoning might be something drastically wrong for our neighborhood. Now, I feel like about 8 months ago, we come down here, and we went through all this with people and they got turned down. I don't know what happened in the last 7, 8 months to make it any different. So they've cut the grass, they've trimmed the trees, the building looks the same. And whenever you talk about a lawnmower business, they gonna work on lawnmowers, we gonna noise in the neighborhood. I have these 2 little children right here, their property is adjacent to the building, I'm talking about within 20 feet. And I don't know how many people are gonna be working here. I don't know if it's gonna be one man with a lawnmower there. But they would have you to believe that they're gonna enhance the neighborhood. Well, I was glad when ICY put it up for sale. I had a man to bid on it, that wanted to build a house inside of it. I wouldn't have nothing wrong, I wouldn't said nothing against that. But I worry about the future. I'm 82 years old. Heaven forbid whoever buys my house when I'm gone has to live with decisions that I make while I'm still alive. So I don't want an open door policy. When you put job center down there, under the job center, you know, you can put a bar there. That's not what we want. We have been invaded by businesses in our neighborhoods. Right down the street, they got a zoning now to build another hotel. What's the traffic gonna be like for us that's been there all these years? So I really all need to consider the financial benefit versus the private life of the citizens of my community.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good evening. I'm Marshall Lee. I live at 1921 Dulcie Road, which is right here. Right? I also own a house here. So I own both of these right here. Our neighborhood, which Teckenberg, you know, with all due respect, we enjoy our neighborhood. We try to keep it up. We all work together. It's our neighborhood. My grandfather lived right there back in the 40s. The house is gone now. But there was a house on this lot, right here in front of this lot, they're trying to rezone. And that's how that building got put there. If you notice, it's still zoned residential because there was a house there. That building was put up as an additional building or one of those gray area buildings. So put a commercial business, a work center, which he stated, it could be anything really. I mean, I would look at all the different buildings or businesses they can put in there. They can put in, you know, dog grooming, you know, counseling centers. They can put in curiosity shops. They can put just about anything in there. And it's in the middle of our neighborhood. And like you said, the traffic now is insane. Even with speed bumps, it's just run and gun in there because everybody, 17 is a giant parking lot most of the time. Highway 17 is down a highway. And they cut through from the neighborhood across the street, come down Elsie, come down through here. They'll turn off the 2nd, 13th, come on Beach Ridge, turn down Dulcie and go over to the mall. That's easy way with the Orleans Road. Really, these children live here. In this house right here. They come out their back door, they're not 15 feet from the door that opens up to the building back. If I'm not mistaken in your plans, there are not supposed to be any businesses with a door that opens forward towards the street. They have to be on the side of the building. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, you can tell me. But this one has one door in the front here, which is the main door going in. And there's a loading platform on the side here between their house and this building. Where big trucks, which knock down the mailbox, trying to back in there a lot of times, to move their icy things at one time. They have to back up to that concrete place right next to that building. And there's a door back there that they can bring their stuff in, which is 15 feet from their kitchen and their living room. Now, I don't know any of you, if you were trying to put a work center in the middle of the crescent, or, you know, it's just not gonna, and because we don't have the money and our houses aren't that valuable, our lives are, and that's our home. Those are our houses. We take pride in them. We all keep up our houses. And it's just not right for somebody to come in there. And last time we were here in June, I think it was 17th of last year. And we made our plea then, and unanimously, y'all opposed it. And we thank you for that. And we'll be here again in 6 months if they do it to you tonight. But we just want to thank you for it. And now I'll let, Ms. Tarantino tell you about her property right here where it says Old Blue.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You wanna come with me? You wanna stay right there? So I'm Amber Tarantino. I live at 1908 Chelsea. This is Lori and this is Indy. And my husband and I purchased that property. Yep, right there. The last business day of 2016. As before we had kids, but this is like where we were investing to have our family. And we checked out the neighborhood before. And we wanted to be near people that were very family oriented. And like Mr. Tecklenburg said, the 2nd Street, all those neighborhoods, they are that way. And our neighborhood has improved greatly since we moved there. However, now that we see that lots of businesses are coming in, the daycare center, all of that stuff is nice to have, but at the same time, it is increasing the traffic. And I have kids that I want to be able to have play in our yard that we purchased. It's a beautiful lot. It's huge. And my kids and my dogs and my cats, like our family should be able to feel safe when we're playing outside in our front yard or our backyard, which is exactly directly against the warehouse. Do you mind if I use a picture that you guys put up before? It was about the color scheme for what was doo-wop or what was like a business general area. It was like, yes, that, okay. So just real quick, this is our house. And then all of these are houses except until you get to like down here. All of this over here, people live. So it's interesting that you guys have this set up as a job center area when the majority of the buildings that are there are residential, like people live there. Those are not operating businesses. Those are people that live in these areas over here. All of Elsie Road on this side, these are all residents. All of this, residents. It's not until you get down the Swapo, down here is where you have a couple spotted in there. So everybody here has a say about where we live and what we want our neighborhood to look like. And I feel like we have a lot of great opportunity to make West Ashley livable for families that want to be here. And we want to be able to have like our kids live in a neighborhood where there are other kids and they want to live there. We want families to be able to move to Charleston and enjoy living here. We have a great setup. We're between 17 and 61. We're right by 526. Our neighborhood's value is actually extremely high for people who want to be residential. And the value of our house is also an investment that we made. And we want that to continue to grow. And having a business directly behind our backyard is not in any way going to encourage people to see the value in our neighborhood that we want to continue to grow. I mean, we have so many people that get to come through this area and get to enjoy our place. It's really nice. Second, first, all those neighborhoods, like we all get to see people walking and we get to utilize this space. And we want it to be safe for everybody, and I think adding more development for businesses is just going to increase their traffic more so than it already has, which has not been a benefit to us. It's been a detriment since we moved there in 2017. So that's all I had to say.
Thank
You wanna
you,
say
thank you for coming.
What did you want to
Got
say?
beautiful children too. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in opposition to the application? Yes, sir, come on up.
I apologize for my appearance. I came straight from work here. I'm also a student at the College of Charleston.
Give us your name if you would.
My name is Parker Fields, and I'm here for the same class that they are. And I was told I could get extra credit if I participate, but that's not.
We know where do you live.
I live at 10 Warren Street.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I was gonna participate or not, but after listening to these people speak, I just think if someone who has lived in the neighborhood for 50 some years and a young family with kids like this can come and speak about this issue, I think it's really something to take into consideration. I remember how I grew up. I wouldn't have wanted to grow up next to a lawnmower business. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. But I think when I think of Charleston, I think the people are what makes it special, not the businesses. So just like listening to y'all speak, it really means a lot. My grandmother, her property had businesses built right next to it. Really tanked the value of her home, and she ended up moving out. So it is kind of just like a sore subject for me. But I really resonate with what y'all say, and neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Would the applicant like to reply to concerns? Mr. Moore, before you do that, I just want to ask Mr. Moore, if this was approved, talk about, somebody mentioned drainage. I just wanted to verify that.
So any new improvements on the site would have to meet, any kind of drainage standards we have if it passes certain thresholds of impervious surface on the site and all that. So I think that we did determine that there is a drainage easement to the rear of the property up against the parking lot for the St. Andrews facility there.
This would have to go through other procedures as well.
Yeah, and then I know that the overall doo-wop area, the broader area of the city, that includes, all the way out to Savannah Highway, is subject to a joint city and county drainage study that is complete, I believe, and they're working on getting the construction work started to improve that, so that will carry a lot of the water from this general area to the west, across the Silver Mall property into the Tiger Swamp, I think is what it is in that location. So that should help things a bit too, especially in the Orleans Road, DuPont Road area, and these areas around the green.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'm sorry, Ms. Tecklenburg.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to get a closer clarification on that.
So, just to kind of maybe address some of the points that were raised, I'm very sensitive to the issues that you raised. On the drainage front, when we met with Mr. Morgan, I believe there's a drainage easement on the rear of our property that runs along some of these properties, but it actually does not run across this. So we would be, more than happy to give up, I think it's a 15-foot easement to the city to allow, further drainage work on that easement. In terms of the traffic, there will be no big trucks. I'm assuming IC kind of use that loading dock to unload, from either vans or 18-wheelers. My brother doesn't have any of those types of vehicles, nor does he plan on getting them. And then just a distinction of, I wouldn't classify his business as a lawnmower business and working on the property and creating noise on the property. He does high-end residential landscape design work. So he works from Sullivan's to Isle of Palms to downtown to Kewah. So he's not kind of operating the business there. It's more of a hub to come maybe, load up plants or whatever supplies they need for a job. They're typically out early in the morning, come back, and that's kind of it. So during normal business hours, the actual operations on the site will be very minimal. And then just lastly, I just, kind of feel like it's in the future land use map, he's a small businessman. This is a big investment for him. And so, the message that you send to him, by not, I think would be a bad one. But those are just some of the issues I wanted to respond to hopefully allay some of the current concerns that were brought up. Myself, my brother, we have young families. We're very sensitive to that. And I just would offer to you guys, whatever we can do to kind of help in this process, if he's successful, we would be happy to do that and try to be his best neighbors as we can. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Not to overly restate, but I guess I'm very active in my son's business. I'm also an irrigation specialist in addition to being a musician. But that work doesn't occur at the business. It occurs at his client's property. And we just store the irrigation supplies, in order to have a central place to work out of. John Henry, by the way, is an artist. He went to the Chicago, the Art Institute of Chicago, and it's hard to make money painting pictures as it is playing music. So he got into landscape design, and his office is like a studio. He still does some painting, but he does really wonderful design of landscapes for people. And as Joseph mentioned, actually, they're pretty high end. So, I mean, it's a very low impact business. And that's exactly what job center designation was created to be. A low impact, but business zoning so that it could coexist with the neighborhood and with neighbors next to it. And to reiterate again, particularly, we met you when we knocked on your door. I mean, if we're successful, if you want to have a fence separating or some kind of barrier or buffer, and the loading dock really was just there. I mean, we don't have any large 18-wheeler trucks or anything like that. So, I mean, we're even open to relocating that or not using it if that's a big deal. So anyway, we'd like to be a good neighbor. We think that given this property has been used commercially for over 50 years, that this is appropriate and consistent with what the city passed in the doo-wop overlay district. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
And support. Thank you.
Thank
Can I ask you some questions?
you. Is it the applicant?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing that, either one, Mayor Heckenberg, is that the idea, the use of the building was a warehouse in that, the IC. Does that use currently exist at all?
No. They sold the property already.
Okay, so
I think you can still buy an IC somewhere, a 7-Eleven store, but they don't distribute it out of this location.
Okay. So the other question I have too is that what y'all are describing is more of like a nursery or greenhouse, or what is that the type of business that y'all are describing as the use?
So he does grow plants, and makes flower arrangements. He actually supplies the flower baskets on King Street, downtown Charleston. So in preparation for putting these baskets out, we grow petunias, we grow other varietals and
But also a design studio, is that what it is?
the design studio, but also a storage place for a landscaping business. It's not a lawnmower repair shop at all. We have to take our lawnmowers out and get repaired somewhere else.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
So, it's a variety of purposes, but all related to this,
Okay.
design and
Okay.
landscape
Thank you.
business.
Thank you. Ms. Harrison, do you have another question?
Yeah, I just wanted to, is because I mean, essentially what I'm looking at is a building that is a warehouse style building and can't be utilized any other way. So what other use, I mean, other than the fact that the icy shop was there, what other uses can occur right now as today underneath your current zoning?
We can ask staff on that. We'll
Okay.
ask staff that. Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
May we?
No. No, sir, we can't go back and forth. to lose
Giving
track.
them extra time to plead their case.
No, no, the way the process is, they get to address any questions we'll throw it up, and they address.
What, they
No.
build
Thank,
there?
thank you, sir. No, thank you. I'm sorry, but we just can't go, and I hear you. We all hear you. I appreciate it. That's a closing public aspect of this. I'd like staff to answer. Ms. Harrison had a question. And I think it falls with a lot of questions that are coming up. What else can go to Job Center? I think that's a $6 million question. That stuff is, what else could be, that kind of thing. So that's a concern.
It's a whole range of uses that can go into Job Center, but was your question, what can you do under the current zoning on the
Under the
property?
current zoning, and why is it not considered non-conforming?
Single family.
So it's single family, so it's a vacant building now, so they would have to, bring it into compliance. They'd have to have a residential use on the site. The only other option would be like a use variance, saying that it had a prior commercial use and.
How were they able to do that? I see the business
It
there.
pre-existed the zoning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the question I really have is why is the building itself not a non-conforming use? As opposed to the actual occupation of whatever what is inside the building, right? Why is the building not a non-conforming?
Because the zoning goes with how the property are used as opposed to the structures.
We close the public aspect. Members.
But
Sure.
That's where I'm hung up.
Okay, yeah.
Seriously.
I have a question for sure. Is there another zoning, I thought of commercial transitional, that might go as property that might be appropriate for the neighborhood?
It potentially could, it might be more restrictive. Philip had pulled up the CT and Job Center. Is the type of business they're talking about that in CT, the CT sometimes limits the amount of vehicle type uses that can be there. It also has a little bit more density in it from a residential standpoint. The doo-wop had called for this area to be this job center, and I know Mr. Bailey had some questions about where Job Center is, and we don't have the entire neighborhood shown here, but on this image, you can see some of the. Hold on one second, just so I can point out, there is some other job center in this area. They've typically been kind of entrepreneurial type of uses. And the doo-wop overlay also talks about design standards for job center. So if a new structure is built, that's where the gentleman was talking about the door opens to the front. Well, if you were building a new structure, you wouldn't be able to have the big garage door open in the front. You have to turn it to the side. They have a pre-existing building, so it does open to the front. But there were design standards so that the job center type uses could intermingle with residences. That was the whole idea behind the doo-wop plan, is that if this was an area that did have a little bit of a mix of residential as well as the entrepreneurial businesses. Do you have the hours of operation?
For the job center area, it is 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. The CT district allows similar for most uses, but CT does have a lot more limitations on uses, which I don't think the proposed use would fall under a CT.
It would not fall.
And there's actually very few zoning categories that would allow it in a limited sort of aspect in a neighborhood like this.
Mr. Bailey, do you have some other questions?
I understand, I saw the zoomed out where Job Center encompasses a lot of this area, but I was curious, are there other areas of the city that have that Job Center designate?
Generally over here, I don't know that we've had other things done to it. Yeah, it was designed for this area. It was designed as per the doo-wop plan to be in this area and be that kind of entrepreneurial, intermingle businesses with residences and things like that.
Mr. Chairman, I might be able to give some clarity. to
Jacob,
this.
go ahead.
I was very involved with this doo-wop plan, and it was very controversial over this area when it was done, because it is such a mix of businesses and residential. The whole area was residential to begin with, but over time, some things leaked in, and not all the properties were in the city. And it was one of the maybe it could have been one of the earliest cooperative works between the city and the county for looking holistically at an area that had some issues. However, I personally disagree that we threw job center all over these residential neighborhoods, because if you ride back in there, that is a sweet, affordable area. Where the real job center area is down Belgrade Road. If you go down Belgrade Road, you'll see all those little residential houses there have become little landscape businesses or offices or dog grooming or stuff like that. But we threw a swath all over this residential area because it was behind the school. And that was controversial, to be honest with you. And if you ride back in there, predominantly it's residential. The job center core is down Belgrade Road there. And also up around, if you go a little further, it's where the Charles Rivers new building is on Wahoo Road, and the warehouses that go back, they might, yeah, back in there. That's all, that section over there is predominantly job center, but not the section that is south of Belgrade Road. It's almost purely residential. And when the applicant came last time, previous applicant, they wanted to put in a nursery, same kind of business, same kind of situation. The neighborhood came out once again and said, wait a minute, you're dumping it right in the middle of our neighborhood. I live right behind Avondale Wine and Cheese and Jean's Hofbrau. I have firsthand knowledge of what it's like to live next to a business district, but I bought knowing that it was there. I personally will make a motion that we don't approve this application. We talked about it 8 months ago. Nothing has changed about this application at all. And nothing has changed about the use, because the zoning goes with the land. And I remember clearly one night that we sat here and talked about commercial transitional on a restaurant on James Island. What's the name of the restaurant? Edison's or something? On James Island. And we listened for 45 minutes about how great the chef was. And I even leaned over to Harry and said, I'm gonna have to go eat at this restaurant. It's not the person that's bringing in the application that we have to worry about being great. It's the fact that we've changed the zoning on the land in perpetuity. So in the future, when this business grows and they need more room and they want to expand and they have to buy some of the property and they move, we have left the center of a neighborhood a job center. And I just don't think we should do this. In light of the mayor's doing Project 3500, we're trying to get affordable housing. And this is a very affordable neighborhood. Not only is it affordable, you can walk to a school, you're convenient to 2 major corridors, and you can walk to a lot of things. I just think it's a bad precedence that we do this. And the last time we were here, I specifically said we made a mistake in the comp plan during COVID, making all of this job center, and we needed to fix that in the 5-year review, which is coming up now. And so I'm making a motion that we don't approve this application. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time.
Thank you, Ms. G. Other questions, comments?
I have a question. What is the business just to the north?
That is a preschool. It is the, and they submitted a letter of support in your package of letters. And I believe it's called Odyssey Creative Arts Preschool. And it's a fairly recent building. You can see it in the aerial landscape and all that kind of.
And I believe, just for the record, there were some comments up that we all have.
There's some in opposition and some in
Yep,
support.
yep.
Go ahead.
Mr.
Go
Bailey.
ahead, go
Mr. Bailey, go
ahead.
ahead.
I hear what Ms. Jacobs is saying, but I don't think it's that simple. I think this is, whether it was a mistake or not, it's job center. I am, as I read the materials in advance and thought about the metal building being there and the icy factory, I was thinking kind of along the same lines of what Ms. Harrison was talking about. It's not like there's a house sitting there that, of course one could be built, but that's not what's been there for, this metal building's been there. And you know, it's adjacent to a parking lot, which is adjacent to a ball field, which, you know, typically would have, it's adjacent to a house, absolutely. But that school complex, it wouldn't be unusual to have a metal building with landscape type materials to take care of that campus. This doo-wop plan, controversial or not, a lot of time went into it, and some of these types of uses were, so I don't think it's simple. I'm not ready to vote yes or no yet. I'm curious to hear some other thoughts.
I mean, I have some thoughts, but I think in expressing my thoughts, I don't live in the neighborhood, right? So I think that's one of the considerations that I have, is that I think there are some solutions here, and I think one issue I have is that even though the lot itself is zoned SR, you have a building that to me is a building that cannot be occupied today residentially. And I think that's a heavy lift on any property owner who makes a decision about how they want to use a building. And one of those examples, I think, is in bringing it to more localized to where I'm from, is if there's an abandoned use of a duplex, but the building itself is two flats, you know, one on top, one apartment on the other, but yet that use is abandoned, but you're only allowed to have a single family. I think it's difficult to argue, convert that duplex into a single family, even though the use is not existing or the non-conforming use is abandoned. The building itself is non-conforming. And so I think there's a question about whether or not, and I don't know what's been explored, because, you know, that's not our job to sit there and help and do this, which is, I don't know how the city would feel about maybe partially rezoning a lot, because I think we've had some instances where lots have been zoned, where there's two zonings sitting on top of a lot, but those are in narrow circumstances. Or I think what Mr. Kroschak used to say multiple times, wrong, right pew, wrong church. And I don't know if a use variance would actually be more appropriate here, because I think forcing the building to become residential is either saying you have to tear down the building, or you have to bring the building up to you have to do a significant amount of work to make the building residential. And I think that is where decision, and I think that's a heavy burden to place upon a property that doesn't have a house on it and only has a building that is, to me, a non-conforming use.
Thank you. Other commission members like to chime in? Anyone else? So same and very quiet.
Yeah, I'm like Mr. David. I'm going over this. I had the same thought for you. It's like, what does a property owner do with this except build a house? If they want to use it as it's historically been used, and as the structure that's on it currently and has been on it for 50 some years is on it, the only way to use that is as described here. You know, one thought I had is, and Mr. Tecklenburg, you know, we're an advisory body. Ultimately, city council makes the determination. City council decided this was appropriate for a job center zoning. Maybe we just recommend this to them to make a decision. I don't know. This is a tough one. It's not simple. I agree with you.
Okay, other commission members?
Trying to find out what the recorded sales price is, being residential appraiser, trying to figure out what the highest and best use would be. If the value of that lot is too high, then nobody's gonna pick it up residentially, and that warehouse is gonna sit there and rot.
Which is not good for the neighborhood.
Doing that now.
I know. So, I don't know, I'm trying to do that, I mean, it's, because if something doesn't happen to it, then it will just continue to, nothing will happen, and if residentially, you can't feasibly make something of it, then you're gonna end up with a multifamily zoning change request to make it work financially. So I don't know exactly, and again, that's not our purvey to figure out what the right solution is. But there's a solution on the table for this property. But we have respect for the homeowners in the neighborhood. Always respect Ms. Jacobs and her opinion. But yeah, I'm kind of, not enough information is in the computer yet.
Ms. Hurst, Brian Jenkins.
I'm conflicted as well, based on all that has been said. We have someone who has presented tonight, and it's a low impact business, and it is deemed center.
When we reviewed this last year, I recalled the suggestion of a use variance as a potential solution to avoid placing a commercial zoning in the middle of a residential neighborhood. I think that's still a pretty good strategy forward, and kind of where I'm leaning on this.
It was a $400,000 purchase price. That's pretty steep lot price. For that part of West
Tear it
Harrison.
down, have to build a house.
Yeah, you can't pay for, do the demolition, $20 a square foot, and then build at 200 a square foot.
Except there's.
Ms. Brian Jenkins.
There isn't a home on property, it's just the item.
That's been there.
Warehouse.
Yes.
Okay.
Two houses.
That-
I would say at least
one
40,
thing.
50 years.
Okay.
Pick your poison based on the
I'm
value.
sympathetic to the neighbors in that community because I understand, like, how scary it sounds to have a commercial business opening up that's going to be operating. It doesn't sound like, I don't know that I see
Right.
distribution shed shut down, but I also trust that obviously the Captain Brooks are great stewards of that property. Of course, the zoning rules the land, so keeping that job center use or designation there is, I mean, it seems like there's some high-ish intensity use that can go on there, sort of.
What else could go?
Yeah, I mean, like lightning.
Again, you can do things in job center, like you can do working facilities, you can do, nurseries and plants and things like that.
There are also,
You can do
like-
offices, you can do film production.
Somebody mentioned the bar, but without its operation, we couldn't do a bar.
Yeah, and I believe that was, still correct me if I'm wrong, but that was like a brewery.
So micro.
Yeah.
And we've had two applications now that are with, for like a nursery type use, and so I'm curious if the setback requirements for that designation are restricted enough where, and the lot size, you can't build a really, a busy, like a business where people are driving in and using it. It sounds like there's not gonna be a lot of inbound traffic. It's not going, probably far less than what was brought to the neighborhood through the daycare. That's why I'm trying to put this positively, because we're also tasked with this decision, and the city's designated this zone. Whether everyone thinks it's appropriate or not, has got this do law overlay. So this is a use that is appropriate with what the future land use plan, how it's designated, and, we want to follow that guidance. It's been, well thought out and applied to the comprehensive plan, so, I just, I feel torn, so I understand.
Thank you, ma'am.
From a size, based on the size of the lot, it looks like it's almost a half an acre, right? Is there? What would be what's the minimum size required, or minimum size required for a dwelling unit in SR1? Could they even possibly
SR1
do
would
it?
be 9,000 and SR2 is a 6,000 square foot. So there might be a way to do a couple, but it's gonna be tough because of how would you get to that other unit? Because typically we do require right of way, and it looks like it's only about 60 or so feet wide, maybe a little bit off on that. So putting two homes in a row might be difficult there.
What about partial? Did they do a partial zoning?
You can always split a tract and have some residential on it and some commercial. It's not something that.
That's not really before.
Advocate for.
No, but I'm just
That's
asking.
not what the question is, but yeah,
Because it could,
yeah.
because it could possibly cover.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Just in the interest of moving the discussion along, I'd like, there's been a motion made but not seconded. I would like to put a motion on the table to approve the application.
And I hear Mr. saying, and I think what he said earlier made some sense. The city council, this commission, the city council approved this job center, whether it's perfect or not, I don't know. But Mr. Sain said city councils have the ultimate decision. Kind of a second his motion, I think. Our concerns, but I'm gonna let city council, since they approved job center for this area, and we did as well. Oh, so I'll second the motion. There's a motion by Mr. Saints, and I'll second it to approve the application. Further discussion.
We have an applicant like I think it was last month, who was looking at a lot size exactly like this and asking for a DR. So he could put 2 houses on it, and there were some concerns about the right of way and the driveway, exactly the same kind of lot. Exactly the same kind of situation.
And DR is a little bit more forgiving than the SR is.
So, and we
but
gave him the
SR
DR because of the way he was going to plan out 2 houses on a lot just like this in a residential neighborhood, which traditionally had an SR on it. We gave it that in exactly the same situation.
We had a issue before this commission last year that was. It was a different situation, but there was similar distress up here in terms of trying to decide what to do, because in that case, probably a use variance would have made sense. And we made whatever recommendation we made to city council. It went there, they deferred it and actually encouraged the applicant to pursue a use variance first. Now, it wasn't successful, so they ended up approving the zoning change, but I think perhaps that might be a good solution here. I'm on the planning commission, not the BZ. I don't know how this would be received, but Mr. Jackson's comments are pretty compelling to me. I don't see a house showing up on this lot anytime soon, but maybe one day in the distant future.
In the future, it'd be an apartment.
But if there were a use variance, but it maintained residential zoning, eventually the value hopefully will catch up, that a future owner down the road may decide that it makes sense to build a house. But right now,
It's not curable residentially the way I see it right now.
right. So I'm gonna support.
Any other questions, comments? There's a motion by Mr. Sain, a second in favor of the application. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, raise your hand. 2, 3, 5, 6, 6 in favor, anyone opposed?
Nay.
1, 2. 1 abstention.
No, I raised my hand.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So 7 in favor and 2 opposed. So, okay, so that is approved. And again, this isn't over. Ladies and gentlemen, city council has given this, Mr. Hussein very eloquently said, city council designated this job center. I think Mr. Bailey said it as well. Sometimes we have to give things to city council and the ultimate decision, let them weigh it out, and you'll have a chance to speak as well there. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 80 Aiken Street, Peninsula, TMS number 459 below. That's Council District 4.17 acres. Request rezone from Pool City Height District 4 stories, Pool City Height District 5, Mr. Morgan.
You'll be seeing an application that also relates to this project, which is your case number 3 also. But this is purely a height change request. It's at the corner essentially of Lee Street and Aiken. The address is 80 Aiken. You can see it here. Adjacent to it, is a new, will be a new 5-story, affordable apartment building here. We'll show you an image of that in a minute. And then also to the east is the South Carolina State, Resource Center that is really feels kind of more like a 2.5-story building here, and we'll do some imagery of that too. And then there's a kind of mix of residential to the south. There's some 3-story residential structures in this area here. And these parcels are vacant. There's a church on this site that is going to be renovated and elevated by virtue of the low level ground on this lot, and generally if this is in Cooper Street too. Here's an aerial that gives a little bit better sense. There is also a park area out in front. It will be in front of the new affordable housing here, and also in front of the SC State and this parcel here. And then you see Martin Park that's across the street. And then you see these are 3-story housing structures here, and some other houses of similar size here. And then this is the church that has housing as well. And in our comprehensive plan, this is in our neighborhood designated area. And here's an aerial image of just some of the heights that are in the area. The new James Lewis affordable housing development is here, and it's a 5-story development here. This is a 4-story development that the Housing Authority did. This is the SC State, which the reason I said it feels like a 2.5 is that it's elevated about 4 or 5 feet. And so it is up a good bit, and then it's a commercial type structure. So it has high, tall floor to ceiling as well. This is the building, the coin set that's going to be built across the street from the subject property. Subject property is right over here at Aiken, where the cursor is. This is Lee Street. So do a 180 in what we were looking at, because this is the north side over here. This is the linear park that's in front of it, and this is the new 5-story coin set that will soon be under construction. Has been through the BAR process. So staff is very supportive of this. You'll see we are also supportive of the cases coming after this, but I think we'll need to consider these separately. We're recommending approval of the height change here.
Okay, Mr. Moore, what's going on? Is Zach still with us?
Yes.
Okay, come on up.
Good evening, I'm Tracy Doran. I'm the president and co-founder of Humanities Foundation. And I appreciate the opportunity to be up here today and for the city support. We have been developing affordable housing 34 years, which is hard to believe. I think Gary there worked with him, Mayor Raleigh. We did the school on the east side, most recently here in Charleston. That is 89 units for seniors below 80% of median and below. We're doing the Poinsett, that is 88 units for seniors 55 and older. And we're working with the mayor right now on final design review, and we have to get started on that in like 60 days. So we're really excited about that. These are all funded with housing tax credits from the South Carolina Housing. It brings a lot of equity in. This particular one has about 25 million in equity that comes from the state and federal tax credits. So it's a great way to fund affordable housing, and it's affordable through that program for 35 years. We are proposing, we have the lot behind South Carolina State, and we're proposing to purchase the city lots that Christopher was talking about that connect in America Street. And the reason we're requesting height increase is you have to have a certain number of units to be able to apply for tax credits. You have to have at least 40. And so if we go 5 stories here, 4 stories over parking, and we would have 52 units, we would have 27 parking spaces, which is more than the city requires for their affordable housing. And we find that that is sufficient in our urban housing because some people don't have cars. We will be serving people from 20% of the area AMI. That's somebody that makes as low as $15,000 a year, up to 80% everything. So it's a good mix of incomes. We'll have, this will be family, which is sorely needed on the east side. We'll have some 3-bedroom units, also young working individuals could live there, but can't live downtown. So we're requesting that, we can get this zone. We apply and the round, and we pretty much have to get this approved tonight to hit the 2 city council meetings, have a zoning letter by May 15th. So this has been sort of a quick turnaround. We have it under option with the mayor. I know some of the concerns that come up on this property, water, is certainly a big concern. With the mayor, we have to prove to him that we can handle the stormwater. So we won't even be moving to a contract unless we can show him that we can do this. We built Archer School, we have several $1 million worth of infrastructure under and holding tanks, and we have actually helped the flooding in that area. Same will happen at the Poinsett. We have holding tanks. So when we build something, we have to do extensive infrastructure for stormwater, and it helps the flooding in the area. And quite frankly, if we get into it and decide that we can't deal with stormwater, we're not moving. Parking would be on the first floor and then 4 stories above.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it. Anyone else like to speak? Would anyone like to speak in favor of this application? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Watson. I stay on the corner of American Avenue Street. Been there 68 years. Born at 27.5 Avenue Street. Now, total support, we making a way for the people. Low resident, low income, who really survive within the city of Charleston. The no people who are actually getting up and staying almost the Mouse Corner to say come to work, or me and our sweet shop having to get there and help people around the town and where they gotta go or to their job. It really means that we as a city is not addressing the needs of low income in the area. Being born in this area, knowing the area real well, I can go back into the 50s and tell you this really enhanced that area that built within there. Because when there was just one bridge coming down in on Lee Street, I was a kid knowing well what was there, and I supported well that we make a way for all citizens to live within the peninsula. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Anyone else like to speak in favor of the application? Anyone in opposition to the application? Yes, come on up, ma'am.
I did print a few of my.
Oh, so you'll start, tell us who you are and where you live, if you would.
Okay, my name is Lorraine Bergman. I live at 92 Cooper Street. I didn't do enough for all of you, so I.
Sorry, we'll pass it.
You can share and pass. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I moved to this neighborhood in 20.
You live on Cooper Street.
92 Cooper.
Okay.
And I put together this example of what the neighborhood looks like, just so it's a little bit easier for you to visualize. These aerials are great, but you can't really see what it looks like from the street. On the first page, these are the 2 homes that will be directly adjacent to 76 Aiken. And are, as you can see, on slab, on grade. They are part of the AD flood zone. This area has huge flooding issues without any new impervious surface that's being proposed. And so I just want to make sure that that's recognized as you are considering this change. The second page shows the South Carolina State Building. Again, the Cooper home that runs all along Aiken, the vacant lots in between, that these are the parcels, the 3 parcels that are being asked to be both rezoned and added height. There's an example right on the corner of my street at Hanover and Cooper. This lovely little yellow house, 79. This was considered workforce housing, first time home buyer, those types of programs. Owned by that person, longtime resident of the east side. He was excited to move off of Drake and move into this lovely new house. These are some of the smaller scale workforce housing items that the mayor and Project 3500 has kind of emphasized as being hopefully part of the mix, right? So I would suggest that something more in keeping of that style home be utilized on these lots versus an entire huge mass block 5-story home or apartment building that would then overwhelm, that area. My direct neighbor, the Blue House, not 90 Cooper Street, they've been long time residents as well. When the James Lewis apartments were built, you can see the scale. It's a 5-story building. It's huge compared to their little 1-story house. But they at least had a large buffer between their backyard and the actual structure of the building because of the way the parking is set up. The homes at 62 and 64 Cooper will not have that luxury because there are no setback requirements for the multi-use horse house. So it could literally be on their back property and they won't have that, that distance to at least give them a little bit. If you look at the flooding picture, this was taken during one of our, catastrophic 100-year floods, which we know are happening way more often in Charleston, sadly. You can see the South Carolina State Building in the background, like literally this entire, 3-block area was underwater. It was so bad. I understand what the engineers and the development folks are trying to do by saying they have storage tanks underneath. But I can tell you that flooding that's at 90 Cooper in their backyard is even after those tanks have been installed. And there's an open area that has been preserved as a natural retention basin at the corner of Hanover and Cooper, right in the same footprint of the James Lewis apartment. So this is the kind of damage that is happening to these adjacent homes. The final item that I show is just kind of like the recap here. This whole area, AE flood zone, highly prone to flooding, not good places to be building. We should be establishing little pocket parks. We should be figuring out more ways to retain water naturally. I shared in my comments that I submitted yesterday via the portal because I knew that you wouldn't be able to see this video, but I'm hoping maybe you have a chance to look at it. There was a flood event last fall at 119, 121 America Street that was so severe that there was a jet ski playing around in the water right in that area. So we're not talking a few inches here, we're talking feet. And so I would implore you, please not add more density to this area. For that reason, major reason. And then also for the fact that we're just talking about a mass that is changing the neighborhood's character. It's very important to have workforce, low income, all of those housing options in the city. We need more of them. Project 3500 is awesome and it's a wonderful idea. But let's try to figure out how to fit them in the right way, in the right places. That this is going to destroy these historic homes that are adjacent. And the parking question, we see it with the James Lewis apartments, the homes. There's just not enough parking, even though you're saying you're giving parking. They're still using all the street parking, and then those cars are getting flooded when we have the rain issues. So I'm asking you to please vote no to this rezoning. And as you see on the last page, we have, I think once the rezoning or once the proposed units come to life, if the project 3500 comes to life, we will have on the east side over almost 1,700 workforce housing / lower income housing units that we would be supporting. And I think that that's a really nice number. It's a positive thing. East side, but the east side doesn't need more. We should be questioning the needs of this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for coming. Anyone else in opposition to the application? Yes, you'll come on up. Yes, sir.
My name is Steve Martin. This is my wife Allison, one of my children. We live at 47 Aiken. So right here, not too far from the proposed developments. And I'm full agreement about workforce housing, needing to get more residents down closer to where they were. I am in full opposition of this being a place to do it. And I can basically say ditto to everything she said. I mean, there's nothing, no point that she raised that wasn't extremely valid. I mean, we have seen so much of an increase in flooding over the last few years since we moved in that I cannot imagine having more density put on top of that. And then you raise the structure, you know, to go to 5 stories, you put a parking deck underneath of it, those cars are gonna be gone. And then you've got insurance claims and everything people that do, it already happens to some of the cars on the streets because there's just no. And so when it floods, that also takes away parking spaces. You're talking 27 parking spaces. They said that there was gonna be enough parking for these new developments. If you come through here, this whole street down here is packed every day. And
You can
there's
see it in the aerial.
another aerial you can see. And one of the other things. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, this is good. Okay. And there's no residential zoning requirements on that street. It's free parking. Come and get it. We're fortunate enough to have a residential. I think that those rules, the parking enforcement kind of looks the other way anyway. I don't think there's ever any real enforcement in our area. But parking is already, and you've got college kids moving in because their families are moving out because of things like this. You got people coming in, they have, you know, four people living in a 3-bedroom and have 4 or 5 cars, and the parking is not adequate on the east side to begin with. And 27 spots for 52 units is not gonna cut it.
One of the things to note, in this picture, you can kind of see the pickleball courts. That's one of the great things about our neighborhood. People are there all the time using pickleball courts. Without it, there's not going to be a place for them to park and enjoy the use of the park. MLK Pool is right there on Saturdays. They have swimmings. There are tons of people parked there. Where will the people park to go to the pool? There's a very small parking lot at the pool. But on Saturdays, I mean, this area is packed with people enjoying the amenities of
People
our
already
neighborhood.
illegally parked, you know, way too close to these crosswalks to where we, you know, take our kids to the park, we're crossing that crosswalk, you can't even see around the vehicles to see if something's coming. And it's a wide open street, so people fly. I mean, they don't even pay attention to the fact that there are 2 crosswalks right there. Another thing, if you go back to that image that showed all 3 of them. With the Grace Bridge. So this retention pond that she was talking about, you know, that like was supposed to like take some water. This is a mosquito infested wasteland in the summer. I mean, we have to call to get it sprayed like the mosquitoes just take over the neighborhood. And we have to make phone calls and like, hey, please come spray this, because we're getting eaten alive if we can like sit on our front porch. And that has happened since this pond came in. It's this water. And then we also have these 4 houses that were newer houses right there. I can tell you, we have good friends that lived in this one. After they built this pond, by no coincidence, they opened up for renting because this, I don't know if you're all familiar, I'm probably more familiar than I am, but this is a historical creek bed that runs up Grace Manor and directly through this plot of land that you're talking about. There used to be water flowing to the river from there, and it went right through these, and all this water is being pushed there, and they couldn't even go down into their garage of an erased house, and they would have knee-high water, and that's been since that wastewater or whatever you want to call it placed, and these new buildings have been put up. Only making it worse by adding it to here. You've already got a new thing approved for 5 stories here. It's dwarfing the MLK pool, which has a nice open roof. You know, you get to go there and on the nice days, you know, now you got this giant monstrosity across from it. Shadows, sun, you don't get the full sun of it. What's the benefit of having this nice pool if we're just gonna build all these structures across the street.
Yes, sir.
I said, I'm in full support of workforce housing, but it's a terrible, terrible place to go.
Thank you both for coming. Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? Yes, sir, come on up.
My name is Derek Milligan. I have a mother here with me, Victoria Milligan, 91 years old. We lived in the property on the corner of Copenhagen Street, right? Right where you proposed, we're right where you proposed to make this workforce housing at. And we have seen the flooding that's taken place there for years. She's lived in that house for 87 years. And right now, we've seen the impact it had on it when we did the Grace Bridge. So we believe that when the construction and everything comes there, it's not going to be there. It's the new full homes that's been on Acre Street right across between 75 and 77 Acre Street. We've seen flooding there just as recently, where those neighbors' garage was totally flooded and everything they had in the garage, and that's lifted up. Has been totally lost. So we definitely would not be in agreement with it at this time, because we would prefer it to be continued BDR2 residential.
Thank you both.
Yes, children be going to school, right, Sanders Park, if it comes to water. Get flooded and things, they have to come to the water.
Yes, ma'am.
On the parking is concerned as well, just like the gentleman just said. You know, you go to Aiken and Lee Street, you try to cross, I mean, I'm always afraid is when I'm getting to that corner of Aiken and Lee, that someone's gonna run right into me, because I can't even see the cars coming from one way or the other. The parking is just not.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you both for coming. I appreciate it. Anyone else in opposition? I will let Mr. Dorn answer any concerns. Any concerns were brought up, but before that, that's more that the big issue we keep hearing about is flooding. Before they would build anything on there, what are the guidelines on all that? Where would this have to?
Well, I mean, the stormwater standards are very strict. You can't have any amount of water come off the site after development than came off in advance of development. In fact, you have to hold more water than the site currently puts off.
Should be.
Yeah,
Saying it should be better than what.
Detention, as Ms. Dorn said, you would have tanks, things like that. James Lewis Apartments have tanks in the Lee Street Park area out in front of it. Yeah, you know, that's just a common thing now, is that you are holding your water on your site.
Yes, sir.
Now, there are issues obviously in this area with low elevations that can't really be resolved. And some of those low elevations are always going to be holding water. The city is doing some improvements in this area with TIF funds that have been designed, and it's going to include increases in size, I believe, of the large pipe that goes underneath the parks that are on Lee Street that ultimately goes out to the Cooper River. That is going to be greatly enhanced. There'll be a relocation of Grace Bridge Street to be in line with Lee Street as well.
All this will be done prior to anything.
Oh, no, well, some of those are TIF improvements.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the time frame on those. I think we
Okay.
just got some grant money to make it possible. And we're also using TIF money to make it possible. I don't know the time frame on those, but this site will have to hold its own water by virtue of the stormwater standards.
Thank you, Mr. Dorn. I'm sorry. Would you like to address any other issues in the bottom or that issue as well?
Thank you, and I certainly understand the concerns with water. As I said before, if we can't store the water, we may even have to install a pump that will pump the water, because it is low. We didn't have to do that on Lee Street, but we may have to do that there. So as Christopher said, we have to deal with our water. It's sort of counterintuitive. You set the park or something there that would absorb the water, but then you're doing exactly what you're saying is causing mosquitoes and problems, you know. So just leaving it like it is, nothing is going to change. I understand you may not want height and those things, but by building, we address the issues. When the mayor comes in with 3,500, they'll be doing a lot of stormwater, like Christopher said, along Lee Street and the linear park in front of the developments. There will be improvements. So as more building takes place and as more infrastructure is put in, the stormwater will be dealt with. But when we build, we will have to deal with storm.
And the issue of parking, it sounds like y'all do evaluations of this, and most of these people, a lot of them may not even have cars.
When you get down to 20% of AMI, a lot of them don't have cars, especially in an urban area. We have family projects on Daniel Island and North Charleston, and we have very similar parking ratios, and we don't have problems. On Lee Street and at Archer, those are senior properties, and we don't have any problems with parking. I mean, I remember even before Lewis opened, there was a problem with parking down that street. So I don't know if students maybe were parking, but because we didn't want to pay. I was told one time they didn't want to pay the parking fee, so they were parking on the street. So I think the parking issue is a little more complex than just the affordable.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add, ma'am? Any other concerns with brought up?
We would be a good neighbor, and affordable housing is needed.
If you're working with the applicant to address some concerns were brought up, we're here. Otherwise, we're really gonna close the public aspect.
Politely, if I could just mention two things. I do work, and have always worked with Eastside Community Development Corporation. And we look and discuss that we all need to look at the Dutch dialogue and see those solutions and put them in place. And that has not been done. Since the mayor came in, we stopped on it and haven't done it, and so it's gonna get more expensive. The other thing is, we as a city, politely, the city, need to move to mass transit to be.
Yeah, I'm just trying to address the issue. I shouldn't probably told you.
Yeah.
Ms. Dorn, anything else?
No, I will just say that the Dutch dialogues did have like a pond on that area that went all the way over to Hanover and beyond.
Okay.
But they built houses in the middle of where that was supposed to go, so that ship has sailed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
a closed public aspect. Mr. Members.
Mr. Chairman, I have a procedural question.
Yes, sir.
The question before us now is item number 2, is that correct? Or are we considering item number?
I just read number 2 into the rec.
So we're only considering.
Yeah, different owners. Yeah, yeah.
So, respectfully, I don't think the flooding really has much to do with height, so, I'd like to move for approval.
Other questions, comments?
I'm gonna second that motion, because, I mean, the zone's already here
Yeah.
for
Right. We're
density.
talking about one floor.
And so long as they can park it based upon the rule, I think and I think we've got precedent for increasing the height of buildings. For this type of parks.
Thank you. There was a motion by Mr. Stank. Other questions or comments, Mr. David?
I was just gonna say, I mean, I think it's good when we have members of the community here who are sharing some of the frustrations to acknowledge them and point out that there are processes for the having to deal with stormwater and hearing about the mosquitoes and the traffic, and none of those things though are in the purview of this commission. None of them, or perhaps inappropriately named planning commission, because we don't plan drainage, we don't plan parks and mosquito control, any of that. And so I just, I think that's important to point out.
Yes, sir. Good point.
Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else, Ms. Jacobs?
Yeah, before we vote, I just want to ask a question for information. The problematic things that they were talking about, were they built prior to our new stormwater manual or at the beginning of our new stormwater manual?
I know the James Lewis apartments meet our new stormwater manual standards because they have the tanks underground and things like that. I'm not as sure about brace homes because that.
How about the pond? Was the pond built?
Yeah.
Was the pond that they're talking about?
Oh, that was part of James Lewis, yes. And I think it is holding water. The mosquito issue,
I know, I understand.
that's wherever you start holding water, if it's not, covered, that can be an issue. So that's something.
And we
that's
just
a question we'll
just
talk
upgraded the stormwater manual too, to it's more stringent.
Any other questions or comments, Mr. Members? If not, there's a motion by Mr. Singh, second by Ms. Harrison. To approve it, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone in opposition? It's 9 in favor, none opposed. Next item on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to excuse myself. I have a child care issue.
Go ahead.
Gotta go.
No, you take care of it. No, thank you for being here, Mr.
We'll
Rock.
cut your
Number
paycheck.
3
It'll
is
look like
76 Eagle Street. 119, 121 American Street, Vanessa, CMS number 459-0504, 048, 459-0504, 041, 459-0504, 042, District 4.25 acres. And the city's applicant on this request rezone from DR 2F to mixed-use workforce housing, MU1 workforce, the Old City 2.53, the Old City Height, District 5 stores. And again, this ties into that, Mr. Morgan.
Okay, so on this one, the city is actually the applicant, they still own the property. Also, the city has to be the applicant on the height change because it's more than one step up. And the height district requires that to be kind of a major map amendment. But in line with what Ms. Dorr was talking about, their application to put together housing development here and their discussion with the administration about acquiring these properties for that housing development. We have been asked to bring forward this rezoning. It is, again, very much in line with the height changes of the north. There are other buildings in the area that have the 5 stories. The MU1 workforce housing would be in line with the affordable housing zoning on the James Lewis, also on the property to the north. So we felt like that was in line with what has evolved in this part of the neighborhood. And here's an image that shows you the heights again. You saw it before. That shows the 4 stories on the SC State and the property to the north. Assuming that that moves forward with 5 story, then this would also have 5 story in it. Assuming that you recommend that city council approves it. So otherwise, the area of the city is same kind of information, but staff is in support of these requests.
Yes, sir. City's applicant, anyone in favor of the application? Anyone in opposition to the application?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So just a similar
Yeah,
comment.
just for the record, state your name and address, just so that minutes. Thank you.
Lorraine Bergman, 92 Cooper Street. So the pictures and the information I shared on 80 Aiken property is the prior number. It's all of the same information, except that it's even more directly impactful for these lots because these 3 parcels are directly adjacent to the homeowners that addressed you earlier at 62 and 64 Cooper. And again, we're talking about scale, we're talking about mass, and we're talking about a compromise of, you know, the historic preservation that the city is very interested in. This is an area outside of the bar because of its proximity north of line. All they have any kind of say in is whether there's a demolition involved. And so this is new, you know, new development. So it's kind of more of a free for all, but it's not in keeping with the structures that are already in existence. And you're talking about, you know, a very jarring adjustment of a single, you know, single floor home to a 5-story building in its backyard.
Yes, ma'am.
And there are no setback requirements for workforce housing according to the zoning that I looked at. There's none required. There's no setbacks whatsoever. So they could literally build this building on their property line. So I think those are the things that I would really ask you to take, you know, a second look at and really consider. I also would like to note that the whole intention of zoning is to help growth and development in a smart way. But it also is to help protect the existing uses and the existing homeowners and businesses. So when we continue to grant variances, we waive the number of parking spaces that a business might need for their business, or we're asking for mass and scale and huge buildings on a residentially zoned property. That's not in keeping with, you know, the spirit of what the zoning ordinances are all about. So the further you get off of Meeting Street, the more of that should be starting to, you know, graduate to the smaller pieces. We know that Meeting Street's the main corridor. We know that's going to be a bigger, more commercial oriented area. Lee Street's a pretty busy street. So maybe you say yes to Aiken. You could go at that 5th story. That's to the point my neighbor made. Then you're talking about how that overshadows our lovely park, Martin Park, and the pool, MLK pool, which the city spent tens of millions of dollars to build. You have these hulking busy apartments that are not in keeping with the rest of the smaller residential. And they're literally next door to it. I think this building that they're proposing, it sounds as though it's gonna even be bigger than the SC State building, which is already a nice substantial looking building on that community. So all that to say, please, I would respectfully request to vote no to this zoning change.
Thank you, ma'am.
And variance.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yeah, just for the record, Steve, I know you set up a statement.
Steve Martin, 47 Allison.
What's your child's name, just for the record?
What's
What's your child's name? Thank you. So beautiful. Thank you.
So again, I second what she's saying, and I know that you brought it back to the, the last one was, well, it was just the height. But it's kind of ignorant to think that like adding a level of building doesn't add a layer of people and a layer of parks and a layer of water. Like, it's all relative. Like, you couldn't build 90 stories and be like, well, it's the same thing. We just added some stuff up in the air. But I mean, for these specifically, obviously the flooding way worse on these, and I can't imagine that it needs this increase to a 5-story. And the amount of sunlight that a 5-story building takes, I mean, there were empty lots across from us when we moved into our house that of course have been developed into 2.5-story or raised houses. And the sun in our yard and the sun on our front porch has gone, from 6 hours a day to 2 hours a day, because 3 stories will block out the sun if you're right there. So go like the pool and things like that. And I won't repeat myself, but I guess you know where I stand, and I really appreciate your consideration.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I support the idea of it.
Thank you all. Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? I'm sorry, yes, sir.
Derek Milligan. Back up, I just want to get the house going.
Is that the image you want?
No, the other one, yeah.
The bigger one?
Yes. If you want to. Show me the other. I'll show you our property. Right. Oh, yeah. So this is the church issue referring to earlier. You can see the proposal. Say 5 stories from what we used to see at 87 years. The conditions there with the flooding and the 5-story building be. So again, as I prematurely spoke earlier, and I feel the same way, that's that you reconsider this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. You and your mother as well. Thank you. Anyone else? Would the city like to respond to any concerns?
I think that the same issues are here, and definitely there's a lot of low area over here that's difficult to get drained. We are working on improvements over here. Those are soon to get funded. And these sites will set the hold on water.
Thank you, sir. That'll close the public aspect. Commission members, questions, comments, motions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have one question. Why is this one not being deferred for the MU3 like all the other ones where they're bringing stuff? I was curious.
I think the feeling was that it didn't need the MU3 because this is going to be all affordable.
Okay.
The MU3 is more targeted to mixed.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Good question.
I was just curious because everything else you were doing.
Any other-
had been deferred.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions, comments, motions?
Yeah.
Is there a motion?
I'm thinking. I think you're making a motion.
Yeah, Mr. Bailey.
Yeah, I move for approval.
Great, thank you.
I'll second.
Second, my saying, anything else? Not motion to approve by Mr. Bailey, second by Mr. Singh. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition, that's 8 in favor, none opposed. Thank you all, Alan. We appreciate your time coming out here. So the next item on the agenda is third, we'll go to buildings, and I think I can leave them all into the record, we take them together. Number 1 is 1416 Drexel Drive, number 2 is 879 Fence Street, number 3 is 205 JB Lane, number 4 is 107 East Headquarter Drive, and number 5 is 2158 Golfview Drive. They're all SR1, all requesting SR1, they're all for the county.
Chairman has laid them all out for you here. I'm zipping through the images and the maps. Happy to answer any questions you all might have about these. Ms. Connor has done
Well done.
hard work as well.
We'd like a few more, but this is good.
Okay, great.
Chairman, we do have one person.
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Would you like to be heard on any of this? I apologize.
Just for clarification, I see all that the rest of the agenda, on the, zoning changes for.
Yes, sir.
From number.
The rezoning, yes.
Go to deferred.
Yes, sir.
So being deferred, that they're deferred.
They'll come up another time. They'll probably be on another meeting agenda, and there'll be notice on those. I'm sorry you had to sit through this for that. Which one were you interested in particular?
The one on Hagan Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the property owner of a whole one,
Okay.
down on the 14th, just across from the McDonald's.
Okay, and your name, sir? Just
James Randolph.
thank you, sir. I'm sorry you had to sit through this for being deferred. So
It's okay.
it's good to have you, though.
Very good. Thank
Thank you for being here. Ms. Harris. Thank you.
It's not an articulate motion. It was yeah, okay, good. Check the box. Yes, I make a motion to approve all of these.
1 through 5, the Sarah, someone a second.
I'll second.
Second. Any questions, comments, all in favor of the motion to approving items 1 through 5 on the zoning? Signify by saying aye. Aye. One opposition, say in favor, none opposed. Updates, Mr. Morgan?
So we anticipate some news coming to you all. I think, the administration is waiting to, hear a little bit more from the, housing authority and some things. So once their, decisions are made, then all the come forward to you. That's what's going on that front. Zoning ordinance staff is doing a review of the first segment we got from the consultants, which deals with our procedures, manuals, and the zoning procedures, and those will get presented once we have given comments and made amendments. All that.
And I know that you told us that the DRB ordinance, the change.
It was
that
passed
it was
last night.
passed,
City council.
and they didn't have any feedback on what the,
They heard all the comments, all the.
Mr. Morgan read every point I'd said.
Cool.
No, no, I
Okay,
was-
I didn't hear you to watch the video.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mr.
Question
Lassane?
about the deferred items. Will there be sort of a comprehensive presentation about this entire, like, not just one at a time, but
Yeah.
what this is all?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, but then we'll have them each one reviewed because,
Right.
they're each in
That's the way we
different
have to consider
locations and stuff like that. But yes, I think we will have an overall and a refresher on the MU3 and all that, because it's had a few little tweaks and you all saw it. You all had recommended some tweaks, and it's much stronger about showing that all the existing residents that are in any HUD funded affordable housing will be able to relocate, every single one. That's a requirement of the code now. And also it's further delineated that it's 50% of all the units are affordable, and more delineation about those different income categories. Great. Council, thank you very much.
Anything else? I just wanted to point out that, Mr. Lassane and I, it directly affects some of the DRB stuff and some of the lines of communication with us, city council, a meeting with the mayor. It was next week, it's gonna be in April, so we're gonna talk to him a little bit more about the way procedures go, so we feel more comfortable about things thrown at us, maybe we don't know our comment and things like that, so. Thank you.
There was an op-ed in the paper about the peninsula plan, which made me wonder with the updates, is that back on the table? or-
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought I'd mentioned that in a previous meeting, but yes, the goal is to have that finished by the end of the year. We're working on scheduling for that right now, but we will.
It had been on pause for a while.
It's been on pause with change consultant.
Ms. Jacobs, you got something else you want?
Yes, I want a point of pleasure here to just remind everybody. If you haven't seen the monuments exhibit that comes on at night in front of, on George Street, if you don't know about that, it was, this is our 10-year anniversary of the Gilliard. And they commissioned a man to do a visual arts called monuments. And monuments are usually built for people after they pass away and need to be honored, but this is a live situation. And what they did, they accepted applications from the community for unsung heroes to be part of this exhibit. And Diane Hamilton from West Ashley, I nominated her. She was one of the three. And if you watch it at night, it's a visual. They recorded them, and then their faces are projected on the tree across from where the fountain is, and it moves. It's a little eerie to watch. You know, all of a sudden their eyes blinking, go, wait a minute, that tree is talking to me. So if you just pop out of 2 George Street and look at the kiosk, you can read about it, and it's only on till March 30th, so you only have a week, and it's after dark when it's best seen. And it's the best seen from standing at 2 George and looking over at the tree, which is right across from the fountain of the 3 people. And I don't know the names of the 2 other men that were that won, but she was one of them from West Ashley and all of her work. that she-
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Any other announcements? Not.
It's a little dark.
Thank you.